So the next demo that I want to talk about um, is recovering a deleted signature image. So we had somebody who had a consent form that um, they had made some changes to, and it broke the link to the signature that they had for that consent. But they needed to find that consent image, to prove that the person had consented. And we were able to find that in our database and reconnect the link. Um, and that's because the way REDCap handles signatures. So it's different from the way that REDCap handles regular data. Whenever you store a value in a table, REDCap stores that data in a table called REDCap underscore data. And if you have an image, and this goes for a file upload or a signature, because the signature field is technically a file upload. It's just displayed in a different way. What REDCap does is it stores a copy of that file on the REDCap server in an edocs folder. And there's a table in the REDCap database called REDCap edocs metadata. And that stores all the information for that file. And when REDCap stores a file in that table, it gives it a unique doc ID. And then what it does is it puts that doc ID in the REDCap data table for that field. So if you had a field called signature consent or consent signature, REDCap would store it as consent signature for the field name, and then for the value, instead of having that file there, it would have just an edocs ID for that file that links it to the metadata. So I'm going to show you an example here. This is something that we have control over as administrators. So regular users won't be able to see this, but this will just be to demonstrate what I'm talking about here. So we can create little SQL queries to query the database and display it in REDCap. So this is a demo project, and what I want to do is I want to look up. I want everything for record 1 that's in this project, and this is REDCap data 3, because REDCap with 14.2, I believe, or 14.3. Recently, they have broken out the REDCap data table into 3 or 4 different tables, and then depending on when your project is created, your data gets linked to one of those tables. So instead of it all being REDCap data, it'll be in either REDCap data 2, REDCap data 3, or REDCap data 4. So this project is in REDCap data 3. So if I execute this, you'll see here that the signature, this is the field name for the consent signature, and then you can see this value here. That value is the doc ID. So if let me just copy that so I have it. But if I go to, so that's for this is the REDCap data table. So that's where all the data is stored for the record. But if I want to see the edocs, I need to search the REDCap edocs metadata where the project ID is that. And if I execute that, our consent signature is this 1627816. And this is all the data that's stored on it. And this is REDCap also generates a stored name. So this is what it stored it as, and then this is the doc name for it. So the reason I'm telling you this is because the link, anytime something disappears in REDCap, unless you physically deleted it through the REDCap UI, most of the time it's still there. So if we've had people who change the design of their survey, or change the design of their instruments, and change, like they've entered data in a field, like they had a field called first name, and they decided to change it to F name or something like that, or just name. And all of a sudden their data is gone. That data is not deleted. It's still in the REDCap database. It gets saved in this field name value pair. So what's happening is this field name is stored in the REDCap database. This would be like first name, and then this would be manual as the value. But now in the front end, I've changed that field to name. So REDCap is querying the database looking for name, and it's not there. You basically break the link between your front end and your back end for that data. So if you go back into your project and you change that field back to first name, your data magically appears. That's because that link is recreated. Same thing with files and signatures. So if I had changed this to consent signature, that signature is not going to pop up anymore. It's because it's going to be looking for a value or a field called signature, and it's going to grab the value for that. And it doesn't have a value for consent signature, the new field name. So it's not going to pop up. So to restore that, we have to restore the link. And so when we restore images, we have to get the field name and the doc ID. And then the administrator, one of us, REDCap support, can restore that for you. We have to look at the eDocs folder on the REDCap server, which has like 1.5 million files, so it takes a while. But we could, if we have that ID, and what we do is we have to find that ID from this, or it's not necessarily the ID, it's the file name. So this is how it's saved on the eDocs folder, in the eDocs folder on the server. So once we have that, we can look on the server to make sure it's still there, and nothing gets deleted off of the server in the eDocs. So even if you did delete I believe if you deleted the record, it would still be there. It's just the eDocs or that value is gone. So once we do that, we would query the database, and then we can figure out what field that went to. We also can restore the data for that, and then the field will pop up. So let me go to our project here and kind of show you what I'm talking about. So this record here, if we look at the designer, this is called signature, and you just saw that, and let me just open the record here so you can see it as I do it. So the record's here. If I change this to consent signature and we refresh, now the signature is gone. That's because and even if you look in the history, there's no data for this file field, because it's according to REDCap, it's a new field. It's never had data in it. It just happens to be named signature in the front end. But if I go back to consent signature and I change this back to signature and refresh it, then it shows up. And if we deleted, so the whole thing is about recovering the deleted signature image. And for the most part, this is how you would do it. We would, most people don't have these signatures saved separately, because you could click on this So like, let's say if I click on it, I can save it. So most people don't have those signatures saved separately. So we would have to restore them for you for the most part, unless if it's something that broke, we would have to do it. If it's something you did where you changed the field name, as long as you were able to revert that field name back, that link would still be there. But we had in this project, there was a situation where the field got reverted back to its original name, and the link got made, but the image wasn't showing up. And so so it's like this. And I don't know how I couldn't even replicate it for you for the demo. So I'm glad I took a screenshot of it. Because the signature was in the edocs folder. And then when I reverted the data back to what it was, that link got made. So you can see here that it's picking up the signature, but for some reason the signature was not being displayed. It wasn't showing up like this. And if I clicked on it, you saw when I clicked on here, it allowed me to open up or save the file. And I think if I just do like open link, or even if I do open image in new tab, it's going to give me the file. This wasn't allowing me to do that. So whenever I clicked on this signature link, because I thought, oh, well, the link's there, I could just click on it, save it, put the file back, and everything would be fine. But anytime I clicked on the link, I got this error that says either this file does not exist, which we knew it existed because we checked the server, or you do not have permission to download it, which still didn't make sense because as an administrator, we have all the permissions. So the weird thing was we didn't know what the problem was. But looking on the REDCap community site, somebody had mentioned that if you had removed a signature, if you had a signature that was broken, what you could do is change your signature field to a file upload field. Grab the image, if you had the image, or if it was just broken and it wasn't working, you could just convert it to a file upload field and then convert it back to a signature field, and then it would work. So I'm just going to go ahead and remove this signature and save. Because the other thing is when you see here, like you can see that this has this signature, this file. It tells you what file it was, and it tells you it's deleted. With a file upload field, you can, I believe you can still click on that and download it. But basically what you would do is, let's change this to a file upload field. And then refresh this. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to upload that signature that I saved. Oop. So now that signature is there, but it's a file upload field. It's not going to show the signature. And if I look at the data, so you see here, this has this option to download it, whereas when it's a signature, it doesn't have that option. But if I go back to the design here and change this back to a signature field, I always forget where this thing is. I don't like the way they reorganize these fields. I used to know exactly where they were, and I still haven't gotten used to them. Now we go back here and we refresh, and now the signature shows up. And if we save it and go back to the history, now you can see here that it doesn't have the, it doesn't have the download, but it treats this as it was an uploaded signature. It doesn't treat it like this was an uploaded file and then we uploaded it again for a signature. It just converts that record to a signature as long as you have the image. And so if there is ever an instance where you guys lose um, a signature or signature is not there, it helps if you know what, for especially for a consent, it helps if you know the date when the consent happened, or the date, the last date, the last good date where the record was good. Because what we can do is we can recover the data on the test REDCap server, and if we can figure out what this signature is, and then we can look it up and we can download it. It's already on the server, and if we make that connection again in the edocs table, like I showed you earlier, and it pops up, that's fine. But if we have to, like for some reason, if it does this, where it's just not working, what we can do is we can take that file from the server, copy it, paste it somewhere, paste it on our own local machine, go into the record, convert it to a file upload field, put the signature image there, save it, convert it back to a signature, and then it'll be there. So this would be something that you would need the administrators to help you with, but I just wanted to demo it to show you that this is something that's there. So if anybody ever runs into this problem with, especially with consents, this is how we would help you. So does anybody have any questions about that?
Looks good. Thank you.
All right.
If anybody has any questions about that, make sure that you check the YouTube channel for the video on it, and you come back and watch it again to make sure you understand it all, because there was a lot involved in that.
Yeah, it's not as flashy as the other HTML stuff we do, but it's very important to know that functionality is there and that there's a fix available, because we get a lot of people who freak out thinking that their consent data got deleted and things like that. So it's reassuring to know that it's still there. It just takes sometimes it takes a little effort to get it back, but we have the tools to do that.